when you're talking to a leader and they've got, they're not in their scope of genius, right? They're not a visionary. They're not focusing on the bigger things. How do you help them to alleviate themselves from that so that they can take their time and focus, all their time, 100% of the time, on the top 4% of activity?
Well, some of the things we're going to speak of may be so basic, but they actually do work. Okay, so we all seen the 4 quadrants, right, of time management. What is important and urgent, what is, all the way to number 4 to what's not important and urgent. And unfortunately, a lot of people spend more time in quadrant 3, which are more task-oriented things, and less time in quadrant 2, which is it's not urgent, but it's important. So one of the things that I implemented is a simple to-do list that, whether it's electronic or in paper, but I'm like, let's start tracking what you're doing each day and then roll it over. But at the end of the day, I have the 4 quadrants at the end of the to-do list. In other words, because everything's about mindset to me. So what are the things that you truly worked on? Because sometimes we think, man, I made myself busy today. I feel great. And I want to start testing their mindset because, once again, that only brings up coaching opportunities for me. But I'm like, well, did you work on 1s or did you work on 3s? And why did you not work on 2s? So it's so many things that I implement. That's one item. And it's the 2s that brainstorming is a number 2. It's not urgent, but it's so important. Strategic planning is a number 2. It's not urgent, but it's so important. And that's what really helps to move the company, around, or the organization. But one of the other items is are you planning Friday for next week? And it's a simple thing. And in fact, look, it comes from the book, The Rockefeller Habits by Vern Harnish. So I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. There's great tools out there. But I speak to what was successful for me, and I teach it as well to others to say, here's a great resource. But it's what are the top 5 things you need to do next week? But when you start talking about your top 5 on that document, it's to move the business forward, to work on the business, not in the business. Don't tell me that you need to do a purchase order. That's working in the business. But what are the top 5 things you need to do next week on working on the business? And first thing I emphasize is you don't have to have 5. If it's 2, if it's 3, but they're very impactful, have those. And we share that, and we used to share it at 4:00 every day with my leadership team, that everyone would hear everyone's top 5. And we did that for several reasons. One, it builds self-accountability, but also peer-to-peer accountability. I wanted that first team environment that other peers would hear what you're working on, and sometimes even challenge you of, Christian, you've had that on your list 4 weeks in a row.